president gets a Supreme Court pick. So all she got to do, she don't even have to say like Biden did. Like Biden got criticism because he said, I'm going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. You ain't got to say it. You ain't got to state your intentions. Just when that time comes, you only look at black candidates. All right, you can throw some white ones in there if you want to.
Yeah. A little affirmative action.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all are qualified white people too. Like, come on in. We gonna look at y'all. But ultimately, we know who we gonna pick.
What up? It's Three Brothers and No Sense, the Quiet Storm version. Late night with the Three Brothers. It's about, we're going on 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. My boy Buff is coming back from, I guess, a date night. Razi's been up. So you about to get the best of the brothers or the worst of the brothers. I can't tell you which one it's going to be. But welcome, brothers. What it do?
Cannons to the left of them. Cannons to the right of them. Volley and thunder. Hey, man. Yeah, it's been a long day, man. I drove down to Mobile last night. Had a funeral today. Longest funeral in the world. So Leah, don't I ain't gonna talk about your family too bad. So we just say it was a long funeral. So but it was entertaining though. Our hearts, prayers go out to Leah's family and everybody who is affected by the loss of her uncle. But then after it, I drove all the way back here to Birmingham from Mobile. Didn't get a chance to see my folks, but that's why y'all know we love y'all, because we're still up right now recording it so we can drop on Monday just like we always do. And so I want to just start by taking a moment of silence for the Georgia school shooting once again. And then I think there was another shooting after a high school shooting in Baltimore. So just a moment of silence for the four individuals and then the fifth individual in Baltimore. So we'll take that quick moment of silence for those folks. And now I just want to say that's probably all that they're going to get, because America, y'all suck. Because ultimately, man, I got into it with some friends. They were like, oh, gun laws. Y'all talk about gun laws and we anti-Second Amendment and everything. I was like, let's not act like gun laws don't work. Gun laws do work. We just as Americans are too selfish and we want our guns, and we decided we'll take the trade-off, which is these school shootings and our kids getting killed and gun violence. And they were like, well, most gun violence happens by people who are law-abiding citizens. I said, exactly. That's how you know gun laws would work, because most gun violence happens by law-abiding citizens. So, I mean, they wrap themselves in kind of a pretzel to figure out how to kind of not do any type of like common sense gun law, right? Like, I'm not saying take everybody guns or anything like that. Really want to do something, man. So I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest and just let everybody know that y'all made the decision. Y'all are comfortable with the trade-off. So stop acting surprised every time this happens. Other thing, man, I want to shout out a city, my city, Birmingham, Alabama, that is putting their feet where their mouth is, whatever you call it. But they have passed a new legislation or funded a new program here in Birmingham. What is it?
I think you put your money where your mouth is.
Money where your mouth is. Money where your mouth is. There it is.
But you also put your foot in your mouth.
But I mean, you put your feet where your mouth is too, I guess.
Look, y'all said it. It's 11 o'clock Eastern time, man. Look, like the analogies ain't flowing like they usually are. But
Byron saw my face. I'm sitting like, yeah.
Anyway, yes, money where your mouth is. Birmingham, Alabama is putting their money where their mouth is, and they brought out a new initiative called Heart Birmingham. And what it does is it funds medical providers and mental health professionals to respond to mental health police emergencies or police calls. So kind of what we were talking about with defund the police, it's not defund the police like we don't want police. What it is putting money into situations where police don't have to be put in situations where it really didn't need to escalate because the police didn't need to be there. It needed to be a mental health professional there to secure that scene, get that person, help with the homeless people, that type of thing. So all these unhoused people, that's the new phrase too. You can't say homeless anymore. It's unhoused. So you'll hear that coming up around a lot now. So unhoused individuals, when you call the police on them, a lot of times that escalates. And so they're sending this group out and they'll be trained into how to talk to them, get them out of there, kind of decriminalize being homeless. And so that's what they're doing. I hope it does what it's supposed to do. And one of these new Hart Birmingham reps don't get beat up by the homeless person, because I've seen some homeless people beat up people that try to move them and talk them out of stuff. So we'll see how it works, but I'm glad they're at least experimenting. They're at least trying to go down that route. They're trying to do something on that. So good job, Birmingham, man. And finally, I want to say ha 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 to Sega, because Sega dropped a new game called Concord, and it is the fastest, most expensive bust ever in video games. It took 8 years to develop, hundreds of millions of dollars to develop. It was out for 2 weeks, and they shut the servers down. They didn't even like, they just stopped letting people. They gave full refunds to anybody who bought it, and they shut the server down. So it sucks. A lot of people are gonna get laid off in the development studios, but the game looked like it was crap and it sucked, so they shouldn't have dropped it in the first place. So I don't care, man. But 2 weeks,
at least
they set a new record.
At least it was a real game.
Yeah,
not like these games on, like, they be popping up on Facebook and Instagram that look like, okay, that might be a cool little game, and it doesn't exist. So right. You know,
it's a video.
At least it's real.
So yeah, but it was a bad game, man. So if you look up Concord, it looked like a knockoff Guardians of the Galaxy. It was supposed to be a first person shooter. It was all over the place. Nobody really was interested in it, and so yeah, it busted hard. I think at one point they couldn't get over 2,000 people worldwide playing it at the same time. Like, they track how many concurrent players are on the game, and they couldn't get over 2,000. So it sucked.
Did you buy it?
I didn't buy it. I didn't want to play it. I didn't think I would like it. I'm kind of backed up on it anyway. I've been on college football since it dropped, and so like there's a couple of new ones. What is it? Wukong Black Magic or something like that. It's like the big Wukong Monkey King. And so that new game is out. It looks dope, but I just haven't bought it yet. They announced a Harry Potter 2, so that's coming out. So I think that'll be next year though. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good games out right now. I've been college football has had me in a chokehold. I done went through 2 dynasties. I've had 2 careers through it, man. It's fun. It's a fun little game. If you like football, you like playing it, but you don't want to play people all the time and play full games, the actual one-on, like, single solo modes are really, really fun to play. So it's been cool.
Who do you play with?
I did a UAB and a Clemson dynasty, and then I have gone through a halfback, and now I'm on a wide receiver for my careers. So yeah, you get to pick your position and kind of play through it.
I get UAB, but why Clemson?
I don't know. I think I just started it, and Clemson just like, it was like, I think that was the one that was up when I picked, and I just like went ahead and started it, and then I just stayed with it.
Dabo still your coach?
Nah, I use my own coach. Like I created a coach, so it's like me as the character, as the coach.
So you hired a black-haired coach?
Yeah.
Okay. What you got for us, Buff?
Starting off with the school shooting that Razi brought up, I just want to give not even just a shout out, just hugs and everything, just props to one of the students, Bree Jones, a young black girl who was getting ready to head out of her classroom, saw the shooter, and like closed the door, and the teacher was like, "Let him in." She was like, "He got a gun." So had they locked the door, and so he moved on to the next classroom that happened to be open. But had she let him in, or had he gotten in, he probably could have taken out that whole classroom. He wound up only killing 4 people, and I think injuring another 9, which is bad. But when you think about how much worse it could have been, that to me makes her a hero. So I want to give her flowers and kudos.
Why was the teacher let him?
Well, the teacher didn't know. She just was like, she saw him trying to get in. It was
before he started shooting.
Yes.
Okay.
Because she said he was pulling the gun out of the bag. That's what made her close the door. She's like, "Oh shit, nope." Razi also talked about during his Heart Birmingham, he talked about SWAT and why people say we should defund police and things like that. It just so happens that in Orlando, Florida, there's a couple by the name of Christian and Lorianne Campbell who are suing the Orlando Police Department because SWAT kicked in their door 4 years ago off a tip that they were running, I think, child porn or molesting kids, something like that. But they kicked in their door off a tip. They wound up dropping the charges a year later because they found allegedly the real suspect in Indiana. But they got the tip from like some chat that pointed to them. But basically, man, they dragged the father out of the house, made him sit in the front lawn. The mother was pulled over in the car, and they had an 18-month-old baby that needed to be changed. And while the police was like searching the house, the baby's just sitting in a soiled diaper for hours at a time. On top of the fact they lost custody of the baby for 6 months. So I want police departments, I think, they need to use SWAT better. I know there's a need for SWAT, but unless it's like a hostage situation, we shouldn't be kicking in doors. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not defending child porn, obviously. Yes, you need to arrest them. Don't think you need to be kicking in doors with rifles drawn, though. So, you know,
they're not flushing the child porn.
yeah. So, but they're suing the department, so it'd be interesting to see what they get from that. Another thing, man, it's been hot. It's been hot, especially in Phoenix. Phoenix has reached over 100 consecutive days of 100-degree weather. So as I complained about the 90, I think we had like a month of over 90-degree days up here in the DC area. I'm going to be quiet because we ain't had 100 straight days, 100-degree weather. So sorry about that, Phoenix. Hope it cools down soon. But yeah, it's been hot everywhere, man. It's been a hot summer.
Yeah.
Strange enough.
I want to plug, while you talked about the SWAT team, I want to plug a book I love. It's called Rise of the Warrior Cop by Radley Balko. It is I
follow him on Twitter.
Book. Yeah. Yep. So if you haven't read his book yet, go get it. I read the audiobook or listened to the audiobook, so it's a real easy read. I've listened to it 3 different times because that's how good it is, and you get something out of it every time.
Okay. Actually, Buff, this was probably one of the cooler summers I remember in Houston. I think just because we had a lot of rain and stuff like that. Houston generally has just multiple groups of triple-digit weather. And I felt like it really didn't get hot until August. So, like last year, it got so hot and it was so hot continuously that it melted my tent in my truck. I didn't even know tent can melt. Like my tent just like started melting and bubbling up on my driver's side window.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's just that ungodly hot. Like the brothers, I will comment on the school shooting at Appalachia High School. Definitely sad as usual. Any life lost to senseless crimes is just it's inexcusable. It's so much behind it. Even there's, and I haven't followed it recently because sometimes I get overwhelmed and I just don't want to think about it. And I'll tell you a personal story about it in just a second. But just the fact that the FBI had investigated this young man before. And one of the stories I heard, I got to find it, was that they actually reached out to the school, I think that day. And don't quote me on that, but I think that day, warning them of potential, dangers, and nothing happened. But
yeah. They've charged his parents.
Yeah.
For
his son. The dad bought his son the AR-15.
Yeah.
14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're not even talking about like a grown kid, if that makes sense. We're talking about a 14-year-old. And so it made me think, because I remember dropping my kids off on the first day of school, and there was a certain dread that came over me. And I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of the episodes right as school was starting. I was just talking about being safe and dropping my kids off at school. I sat for a little while and just like, man, here comes another 9 months of me just praying that my kids are safe every day. And then I remember after the first week of school, my daughter came back telling me how they were doing active shooter drills. And it was a little overwhelming because that's something I never worried about in school. And just how far we've come is that they're teaching little kids, rightfully so, how to react during active shooter drills. And this is the world we live in. And I don't know who's to blame. I don't care who's to blame. We need to fix it. This is something my 5-year-old and my 9-year-old shouldn't have to worry about. Your rights impede on people's safety and freedoms as well. So, I don't know what needs to be done. Once again, I hate to feel helpless where I can't do anything about it. So, let's just go ahead and jump into the show. I know Sophie's asleep. Hopefully she's asleep.
It's Saturday. No, she's up. Hold on one second. Let me see.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Sophie.
Bonnet Sophie's not here.
Yeah, this Sophia.
Hey.
This is normal Sophie with Inside Out onesie.
Inside Out onesie.
Yeah.
Okay, I see your
onesie.
highlights.
Yeah, I'm so cool.
So cool.
So cool. I got a joke for you guys.
I have an answer for you.
Alright. Why are koalas not classified as bears? They don't fit the qualification.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. My job.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't get paid.
You don't get
paid.
How dare you?
Well, you got to work on your time. You got to give us more time.
Yeah, you got to give them a little time.
You're more like a joke volunteer.
Put it on your college resume.
Right. You're an intern.
Yeah. I interned at Three Brothers in No Sense podcast for
5 years.
She got another
6 years.
5 years. So
10 years. Because it was
8 years.
Yeah, somewhere around there. A lot of years. So hopefully we still going that long. Y'all. As long as y'all keep listening, we'll be good.
Sure. As long as we got stuff to talk about. Speaking of Buff, it's on you, bro. I feel like we took all the time last week, so
Oh yeah. I had a long ending though. But check this out. So by the time this episode drops, tomorrow we will be having a good old fashioned presidential debate. And I don't want to get into the debate specifically. I want to talk about Vice President Harris. And I believe I asked you brothers this question via text. So depending on how good your memories are, this should be a fairly easy question. But the listeners didn't hear it. So I want the listeners to hear it. If Vice President Kamala Harris is elected the first female woman of color president of the United States, what are four realistic, because remember, even if the Democrats maintain majority in the Senate, and even if they regain majority in the House, it's going to be slim. So there's, she can't do everything that she's out there promising. But what are four things that you would like to see accomplished in her administration?
The realistic makes it so hard.
Yeah.
Because it's like so many people think that a president can come in and just do all this stuff, and you see it's Congress makes it. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I wish candidates would take the. I guess you can only be so honest when you're a candidate, but I wish candidates would say, these are the things I want to do, but it has to be with Congress.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they go out there and they say they're going to do this and then by the time they run for re-election, it's like, well, you promised you would do this and you didn't get it done. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and I do like how Kamala's really being particular about that, especially with the border bill. She isn't saying I'm going to secure the border. She's saying I will sign that bill as soon as I get into office. And so she really is kind of trying to toe that line a little bit by saying
the lawyer in her.
Yeah, I think so. So I like that. So that going to it, I think that's one of the more realistic things I think should happen is that border bill should get passed, and I want that to happen, and that should be an accomplishment for her on there. We have to do something that can secure our border, make it harder. But again, just like with when we talk about like crime and the drivers of crime, the securing the border doesn't stop people from having to come across the border. Securing the border is for like drugs and stuff like that, which walls and all that stuff doesn't really do that, right? It's other things that really secure from that. You have to think about why people are moving here, why the migrants are coming, right? So it's foreign aid. And that's a little bit of what she was trying to do when she was quote unquote the borders are there. Is she really was trying to look at what was the reason why these Central American folks were coming up to us, and how can you address that and get people to want to stay in their own countries there. So I think that border bill is the first thing I think she needs to kind of get past and get moving on. I think that the next one is I really, really like her proposal about bumping up the long-term capital gains tax. And so I really want to see a little bit of that tax code switch that she's trying to do. I feel like we need to increase the amount that that people pay into Social Security. The main reason why is because of inflation. The Social Security cap hasn't been going up, but people are making that or much more than that. So if you look at it, if we had adjusted for inflation from I think it's 200,000, 215, something where around there, whatever it is that they cap out Social Security, when they did that I think it was the 80s or 90s. So it's been that same cap since then. Somebody making that money now should be making around $500,000, $400,000 a year. So we need to cap that at $400,000 a year. So if we did that, that would actually shore up Social Security for a good long time. So I think increasing the cap on Social Security is another one that I think really needs to happen. I will say, it's like I said, it's hard. Just trying to keep it realistic.
You need to tag
like climate change. So, but go ahead, Fire. You got any you want to throw in there?
Yeah, I mean, those are two good ones. I was thinking about that,
Mine, I don't know. We're sticking with the economy and stuff like that. I really want to revisit Biden's approach to student loan forgiveness. I think that will definitely help a lot of people, and just got to find a way to make that work. That will just. We were watching Higher Learning the other day, or briefly watching Higher Learning the other day, and it was part of it is, I don't know if you remember, everybody was struggling financially to get through school. You know, Omar Epps' character, the I can't remember the white chick who kind of was trying to find herself. You know, there was a scene where the Lawrence Fishburne was the professor. He had Omar Epps come in and read everybody's name and basically like, hey, you got to pay this money. And to me, that was the beginning of that generation where school became this. It was preying, student loans was preying on young people, you know, because I remember growing up and watching movies where Byron would get a summer job as a lifeguard to pay his way through college. Mm-hmm. That was the 80s, the 70s, 80s. Those days are long gone. And her being, I felt like, a little younger, maybe part of that generation, can really express that and lean into that, saying, hey, it's almost impossible to just get a summer job or even a full-time job and be a young student and pay your way through college. Those loans are the only way that some people could have made it through college. And it was just the same degree that they got it 10 years ago that was 200 times more expensive. So I would love to see them do something about student loan forgiveness, find a path to forgive those. And on
top of that, when you look at the flip side of that, they're paying more, they have more student loans, but the pay didn't increase with that same inflation. So when you talk, educational expenses went up, but even after graduation with that same degree, that pay didn't go up and it's not comparable. So you're not being able to pay those loans back like you were back in the day either. So it's on both sides.
That's the obvious. But I'll say I almost became a victim of this, where my student loans, the balance almost kept me out of school. So we assume that everybody who got student loans graduated. A lot of people never went back because their loan debt was so high. Mm-hmm. They
got a default. Yeah.
Well, they owed the loan. Well, it's now the school is charging you $8,000 a semester. Your financial aid and student loans only gives you $6,000. You got to get $2,000. You don't know how to make $2,000. I was that kid that didn't know how to make $2,000 to get back into school. And so there were semesters I sat out and whatever the case may be. So I know there's people who wanted to go back to school but couldn't go back to school because financial aid, their loans were in default, they were in bad standings, or they couldn't get back into school because they owed money. So, you know, because I've talked to several people like, why don't you go back to school? I can't. I owe too much in student loans. And that's a real thing. I don't think people think about that. They just assume, well, you got student loans, you graduated. No. Think about, I think, the college dropout rate.
Yep.
I don't know if y'all can Google that, but the national college dropout rate is probably pretty high. And I'm assuming that most of those people had student loans. So if it's 30%, 40%, 30%, 40% of those people who have student loans never got a degree. So they're not making the money they can to pay back those student loans.
Yeah, and it's even higher than that. Matriculation rates are like in the 30s in most colleges. So it's like a 70% dropout rate.
But they got the degree, so they should easily pay back those student loans. No, that's just realistic. Of course, gun laws, but that's just not going to happen because America love their guns. America. I just think about things that will make life better for my kids. I would have some gun laws, and even, I don't know, I know this is, the president can't do anything with this, but these local governments, you know, with education, you know, these books they're banning, the things they're teaching, you know, this anti-DEI, this banned book world we're living in, I don't know if there's a way to protect this whitewashing of history nationally. But because of states' rights, it's every state kind of gets to do what the hell they want to do. But I'm already thinking about the day my daughter comes home and fails a test, because when she talks about the Civil War, slavery, she's going to say what we taught her versus what the school wants her to say. You know, the indentured servants, they're not even indentured servants. What, they were interns?
Workers, I think. They just call them workers.
So, you know, so it's things like that. I don't know.
I got a couple more while you think through it. You kind of made me think about, do we throw Roe on there? Is that something that we say, hey, but we want to go ahead and make a actual law, right? Because that's what the Supreme Court said. They didn't say that you can't enshrine abortion and make sure that it's legal. They said that a Supreme Court decision can't decide that. So they said, okay, if you want abortion rights, it needs to be a law. And so Congress needs to pass a law that says that abortion is legal. And so that was one of the things I was thinking about. That's the first thing that came to my mind. You know, I think it would be awesome for the first female president to do that. I think that would just be like, of course she's going to go down in history, but in my mind and I thought Byron was going to set it up when he was talking about, you know, it's going to be a slim margin. And plus we know Republicans have the court right now. Like, it's just, so there's no way I can see that being overturned anytime soon, but I didn't know if, Congress could do that. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So that's one. I have two more though. So I'll take five. I'll steal a little bit. One is a high-speed rail system. That is something that's 100% inside of the president's authority. I think California is actually building a high-speed rail system on there, but there is a full plan to create the Amtrak, upgrade the Amtrak system to for high-speed rail. Like, to put it in perspective for folks that are listening, Birmingham to Atlanta is about a 2.5 hour drive. On high-speed rail, that's 30 minutes. It's literally a commute. So you could technically live in Birmingham and work in Atlanta and just ride the rail every day if you needed to. Like, that's the difference of how it can kind of shrink America down. I mean, you think about that. I want to go to New Orleans. I can get to New Orleans in 2 hours. I can get to Mobile. Well, I don't think it goes through Mobile by the system, but even with that, it goes through goes to Tallahassee. I could go to New Orleans and Tallahassee in 3 hours, right? Instead of the 4.5, 5 that it takes. So little stuff like that, it's a huge thing. And I can go through New Orleans to get there, type stuff. So, or I can go through Atlanta. So go ahead.
I'm gonna see if you can mention my last one.
And finally, I probably won't, because this was one I shared it with you guys before. It was Kamala's housing proposal. So I don't know if you guys know what's all in it, but I'm gonna kind of read through it. So it is $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers. It is a new tax credit for renovating and repairing rundown homes that can't be sold as they are. So that's for your flip people and everything like that. So it's going to get investment. It's going to remove blight. It's going to, get houses turning again. So because one thing that folks don't understand is a little bit of the housing shortage is because we don't have enough supply. There's not enough houses for the people. So builders haven't been out there building enough houses. And so when they do build them, investors are going in and buying them, and they're renting them out to people instead of being able to have people buy them. So that down payment assistance will help with that. But it's a new tax credit for home builders on their profits if they sell the house to a first-time home buyer. So it's a way to, one, create new homeowners and everything, to incentivize them not to sell to these corporations for rental properties and everything like that. It really is for them to be able to say, you're going to give this to a new home buyer. expanding the low income housing tax credit. So again, having builders build low income houses versus upscale houses, because they get bigger margins on that and everything. But we need builders building low income housing, and again, that's what they're not doing right now. So it's exacerbating that supply shortage that we have. And then she's increasing funding for states and communities that overcome the zoning issues that build around affordable housing. So, another thing is people zone out affordable housing, and they put them in bad areas and things like that. So if you can kind of overcome that, basically cutting down on redlining. So black people, when y'all talk about what are they doing for me? What are they doing for me? Again, they're not going to put a big old sign on it that says this is for the black people. What they're going to do is do stuff that's going to help you by all the stuff that's happening in the bill. It's just going to help you more because it's going to stop redlining. Ooh, great. So black people, that's for y'all. So I think it's a really, really good plan. It's fleshed out. That's been one of the big things the Republicans have been coming at her for, is she doesn't have plans and she doesn't have I was like, she was a candidate for a month and a half. Like that's what, like, they're trying to hit her on stuff that doesn't make sense because she wasn't the candidate. She wasn't thinking about being a candidate. Usually when people are running for president, they have 6 months, 8 months of, I think I'm going to be the president, what my platform's going to be, what are my policies going to be, da, 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 da. She thought she was going to be she thought she was running for vice president all the way up until a month and a half ago. So she's having to build all of this on the fly. So you got to give her some grace. And I know it's hard, and I know Republicans are going to beat her up about it, but she's coming up with really, really good policies. And so that's one that I really want to see go through, man, if she can get that one through. So, but again, that's on Congress, right? She can't do most of that stuff without Congress, either by appropriation, because she probably doesn't need new laws for any of this stuff, but it's going to be appropriation. So again, when she proposes her budget, it's going to be in there, and we'll just have to see based on how the Congress shakes out, whether they'll pass it or they'll strike it out of the bill or out of her budget. So we'll see.
Very good stuff. So, Razi, you said you
marijuana.
had 5.
Oh, legalize marijuana. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah, take it off the Schedule 1.
So you got border, capital gains tax, Roe v. Wade, high-speed rail, and that housing bill. Ferg, you got student loan forgiveness, some type of gun law. You mentioned something about schools. Oh, yeah, about addressing banning books and all that stuff. And you agree with Roe v. Wade as well.
And he just mentioned legalizing marijuana.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna go with is that George Floyd police reform. It came close to passing when the Republicans controlled the Senate, and the Democrats didn't want to give them that victory. I don't know if you remember, Razi, but I was upset. I was like, the Democrats are playing political games, and you was like, no, they need to do that. And now that is reversed, you see the Republicans did it to them with the border bill. So that's why I was like, no, stuff like that needs to be passed when it can be passed. So I would like to see that George Floyd police reform bill addressed and passed again. The border bill that they almost passed until 45 got in their ear. Since they were close to passing that originally, hopefully they can get back to that. I want her to have, when she gets a Supreme Court pick, I want it to be a black person. And I have maintained and always said that marriage is overrated, but I have come to look at marriage as a business partnership. And that's something just over time, just listening to different opinions. It's, to me, more than anything, it's more like a business partnership. So I know there are already tax incentives and benefits from, being married, but I would like to see that, whatever that rate or how they calculate it, I would like to see that increased and just make marriage, because of the statistics we see with, being able, it makes it easier to buy a home. It makes it easier to raise your kids and afford things. And I think the economy benefits when we have, more. I'm not saying everybody has to get married. I'm just saying make it more attractive. And if it is the business partnership that I come to see it to be, then make that more attractive. Make, just like we have incentives for, how they have incentives for childcare and things like that, or benefits for childcare and things like that, and you get like a tax write-off for your kids. I want to see something like that for marriage and have it increase, make it more attractive, man. Because maybe I'm just thinking to myself because I'm married, but it would be good. No, it would be good though. It'd be good because
So would it increase with each additional spouse in the relationship? Like if I'm poly and I got 2 wives and whatever, we in a poly relationship, do I get a little bit more?
That's a completely different list. You got to make that legal. I don't see the government going for that, but I think that's something realistically though that conservatives can get on board with, because they're always talking about family values and things like that. And so I know it's been a big talking point for Senator Vance, even though some of his comments have come back to where he's had to defend them with women not having kids. But I can see someone like him even getting on board with that. So those are my 4 realistic things. 2 of them have already come close to passing, and almost every president gets a Supreme Court pick. So all she got to do, she don't even have to say like Biden did. Like Biden got criticism because he said, I'm going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. You ain't got to say it. You ain't got to state your intentions. Just when that time comes, you only look at black candidates. All right, you can throw some white ones in there if you want to.
Yeah, little affirmative action.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all are qualified white people too. Like, come on in. We gonna look at y'all. But ultimately, we know who we gonna pick.
Right. So, yeah, man. And believe it or not, I have 4 things. If 45 wins, I have 4 things that I realistically would like to see his administration do. But I wanted to start with VP Harris. So good answers, fellas. Good answers.
Yeah. Appreciate it, brothers. I think that was a good one. Razi, you want to go ahead and take one? Or you...
I don't have anything off the top of my head. So if you got a question, go for it. I have to go to my bag if I did.
So this is a topic I've seen recently. I love Common. I think he's just a cool dude, great rapper and stuff like that. But he's been catching a lot of flack, because of his dating history. And, women have said he's been ran through. But I want to ask the brothers, because they said he is the Lori Harvey, the male Lori Harvey. And I'm like, I don't know. So do you think a man can be ran through? Would you feel comfortable saying that he's the male Lori Harvey, and why or why not?
I don't compare him to Lori Harvey because she dated a father and a son. I don't think he's dated a mother and a daughter. Also, he's significantly older than her, so he's had more time to date people. But he has had several. He's been in several relationships, and that's his prerogative. But no, I can't compare him to her. But I get why. And from what I've seen, it's been mostly women. But I get why people in general want to compare him to her, because Lori Harvey does catch it. She catches it. So does J-Lo, as she enters another divorce. But yeah, man, I don't quite see it, but I get why the comparison is made.
Is he can men be ran through? Is Common run through?
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I would say, I wouldn't even go to Common. I would say one of the more picked on brothers like Future or Nick Cannon.
Okay. I see the analogy there. I see how they're putting them together. I don't think they're the same. And truthfully, I think men can be ran through, but I don't think it's sexually. So when you think about a guy being ran through, I look at it as a guy got ran through because of his money, or like because of his like income base, right? He's had 3 baby mamas and he's paying half of his money in child support or whatever. I think that's what I would consider being ran through. Like, he has been hopping from woman to woman, and maybe that's it. Is he's dropping babies, and he's got multiple babies with multiple women. That dude's ran through, versus just having sex with them or just like dating multiple women throughout the year. Because, like, to Buff's point, Common's older. I mean, and if you think about, he dated somebody, even if he dated them seriously for 2 or 3 years, Common's in his 50s, right? At this point, like, that's 20, 30 chicks, like, that he's dated if he dated them seriously for 2. And a lot of times, Common goes on a date with somebody or a couple of dates with somebody, and he hits the tabloids. He's dating that person. They automatically are thinking they're serious, and it's like, we hung out a couple times. Right? Like, I think that's the other part about it, is that celebrity, it's like every time you see him with somebody new, it's like, oh, he's with somebody else. When I was dating, right, we talked about this when we had the ladies on, right? When I'm dating, I might go out with somebody on a Friday and somebody else on a Saturday, or somebody this weekend and somebody else next weekend. The difference is, I'm not a public celebrity like that, where people are checking for me to be like, oh, did you see a Razi going out with da-da-da-da-da? Here's the pictures, and paparazzi all over me. So no, I don't think he's run through because he's had relationships and he's dated people and he did his thing with them for a year, 2 years. Because that's the other thing about Common. Like you say, Common's not out there just like a future where he's running through and having a different girl. Like, Common actually is a serial monogamous, from my understanding. It's like he gets in a relationship, he's there with that chick for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they don't work out and he moves on to the next person. That's not being run through. That's normal dating, and that's normal life. And if you live long enough without actually getting married, that's probably going to happen to most people. And I think when they talk about Lori Harvey, back to Buff, when he said it's because she's done it in such a short time. Lori Harvey's 20 something, maybe 30 or something like that. And she's like had all these different guys. But again, I've defended Lori Harvey. I'm like, look, she's dating. She's looking for the dude. And if the dude's not doing what she wants him to do and she doesn't want to marry him, she needs to move on. Because that's exactly what I would tell Haley to do on it. So I don't think Lori Harvey is run through. Because again, we don't know if she slept with all these guys or not, because you make them sign an NDA. I'm pretty sure she has, but you don't know. We don't know what happened with them, right? And so
Common is 52, Lori Harvey is 27, so he's literally nearly twice her age.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Great explanations. There's a couple of things I think that should be pointed out too. Is when I think of that word, I think it has a negative connotation. Right?
Definitely does, yeah.
Can we agree that it has a negative connotation? And when I think about it, and you did add another layer, somebody like Future, or even maybe Cam Newton now, or Nick Cannon, because of the baggage or the children that they bring into play and all this stuff, might be closer to that run through title. But when I think of run through, it has a negative connotation. And at the end of the day, for somebody like Common, I don't think it hurts his persona. I think it hurts his persona with people who want it to hurt his persona. They're looking for something to, well, he's ran through. You say that because you want to find that man version of somebody being run through. Like, I don't think Common has a problem finding women. Lori Harvey is 27. But if she's 52 doing this, do you think she's going to have a problem? Do you think are people going to be judging her the same way? Are they going to be like, okay, she's 52 and she's been doing this since
she was
ain't
20.
nobody taking her. Nobody's been trying to date her for 2-3 years, you know? Possibly because J-Lo continues to get married. So, but that's not the norm. Take the superstars off the table. I don't think when women try to say a man is run through or whatever the case may be, it generally doesn't stop him from attracting other women. And actually part of the reason he's able to quote unquote run through is because he's attracting other women. Mm-hmm. And so that can go on and this is probably going to get some people mad, but I think because for a lot of women, the man's appeal is not in his
chastity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or purity. Yeah. So is that, it's not saying that guys are looking for a virgin or somebody like that. It's just your chastity, your purity, your image. That's part more of a woman's value to men, not to maybe to you, ladies. But we can all say things that we value in the other sex or somebody else. And I think for men, that's something they value. And to think that this person's been with a father and son, it's hard to bounce back from that. There's things about it. Take the father and son out. If her body count and his are the same, let's say that's 30, 20, whatever it's at a certain point. And guys are like, Not every guy, but there's more guys than not that are probably going to say, okay, yeah, like I don't know about that. I want to be able to protect her virtue, her womanhood. I want to be able to defend her honor, but it's not a lot of honor left to defend. And not saying it makes her a bad person because she was young, she's attractive, she's dating just like everybody else. But the consequences of it are different. If, to Razi's point, if Common was out here dating and all the chicks took his money, they would look down on him then. Mm-hmm. Because they value his resources, his status, those things that make him, even the fact that he's not, people can't take him for his money. He's untouchable,
But I think it comes down. That's why I kind of differentiated. I'm like, a woman being run through is the sexuality part, because that's what a lot of people value when in women in relationships is that sex. I mean, even women think that, right? That the whole idea of is the prize, like that is what they think is the end all be all for them. Whereas guys, most people value, to your point, their resources and what they can bring to the table and all of that. And it's very different. And so to be run through for a woman, a lot of times comes with that sexual, and on top of that, just how our society is set up, guys have to initiate, women have to approve, right? They're the ones saying, yes, we're having sex. So for a guy to have succeeded in getting women to say yes multiple times doesn't make him run through. It makes him a successful guy. Like, you're the man because you got them to say yes. A woman saying yes a bunch of times lowers her value.
And somebody, yes, for a lot of guys, it will lower a woman's value. For men. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Oh, what I was going to say? We'll just keep the party going. Maybe I'll remember it later.
Man, there's a part on The Wire where it's season 3 where they're trying to like have this particular zone. This is for people that haven't watched The Wire, where they have a particular zone where they legalize drugs, and the cops are like arresting some of the D-boys, and he's like, we're going to take you to where the drugs are legal. And they don't trust the cops. They don't trust it. And basically it comes down to the character named Fruit. He's like, we grind and y'all try to stop it. Why y'all trying to fuck up the program? At some point, men and women got to admit that men have certain advantages, women have certain advantages. Stop trying to take men advantages and apply them to women. Stop trying to take women advantages and apply them to men. Stop fucking up the program. It is what it is. Women get pretty privilege. Men get to look however they want as long as they got the money. And you cannot like it. You cannot like it. But a woman with 20 bodies is a man with 20 bodies, as long as he got that paper. What's up? Stop fucking up the program, man.
Paper is things that men have learned there's certain things that a lot of women are attracted to, or women are attracted to. And so if they don't have one, they learn how to make up for the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, you don't have money, because we've all been broke. That never stopped us from getting women way back when. Way, and throw another way in there. Make sure you edit that other way in there. But is your confidence? Is it, are you funny? You know, what are the things? And we accept it. We're all short, right? Women like 6 foot dudes. Dudes 6 foot, you know. And I think I was reading somewhere that only 14% of the men in America are 6 foot and above. But those are the guys they like. We've always been short. We knew women like short guys. Byron, we grew up in the 90s when women like light-skinned niggas. We knew what we were up against, and all we can do is accept it. If you were fat, you need to be fat and funny, or, you know, charismatic. You knew. Yep. The guys knew and accepted their point in life. You know, and there's nothing we can do about it. That's not the same. Like you're saying, we keep moving the goalposts. We keep changing. It's like, we can't say anything about anything that, I forgot it was something where it was one of the podcasts where the host was talking to a chick because she had just went off on one of his partners about being too short to date her. She likes men a certain height. And then he was saying, okay, but, you know, what if a man didn't like a woman your size? Well, I don't want to be with a man that doesn't, you know, that's going to judge me off my size. He said, you know, but there's men that will think because of your body style that you're not attracted to him. And I mean, she went from reprimanding this guy to literally crying on the air. And, he's like, and it was just like, how you literally just told Buff you would not date him because he's too short. You have your preferences. He doesn't meet it. And so if a man says you don't meet my criteria for weight, he's a bad guy. I don't know how we got here, but Lori Harvey, back to Lori Harvey. But it's like you said, Buff, we can't change it. It's like there's certain things men can be run through, but it takes a lot for it. A woman she can have 20 bodies. She don't have to have kids. But if guys know she's gotten around, maybe I don't know if I want to go too far with her. I'll smash. Like I'll be number 21. You know, but not me per se. But you know, that's you know, men can be run through, but it takes a lot more for him to be considered run through. And honestly, at the end, it doesn't usually stop the party.
Yep.
Those men that are run through still find women that'll date them.
I think Razi's explanation was spot on. And basically, if they get ran through to where their money is gone, they were a duck.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. My man Phil from that Crime Boss song. Yeah, so,
oh man,
let's go ahead and close it out, fellas.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Cool. All I got, man, is I want to say to all the parents out there, me and my kids, we started our first Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And folks who don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is, it's a tabletop like role-playing game where you kind of use your imagination. One person is kind of the storyteller. They describe a situation. The kids or the players say, well, to fix that, I want to do this. And then they roll a dice to see, does it work or not? It's essentially the game in a nutshell. And I want to say we played for like 2 hours and the kids had an awesome time. And it was just imagination, just talking through things. It was hilarious the things that they thought of to do while we were going through the situations and the scenarios. So parents, if you guys want to have just kind of a fun game night type thing that's consistent, start a D&D campaign, and it is really, really fun. It is a good time. So I just want to throw that out there. You shake your head no.
Razi is definitely oversimplifying it. Who was the dungeon master, Razi?
I was the dungeon master, yes.
How long did it take you to come up with your...
Well, I bought a pre-made campaign, so I didn't have to come up with anything. Yeah, it was just me kind of reading through, just describing what's happening as we go through the campaign. So buy a starter pack, buy something like that. They have it's you can do it online. It's called D&D Beyond, and you don't even have to like do any maps, anything like that. Everything's kind of pre-made and all of that there. So, and you can roll right there. You don't even have to buy dice or anything. It can do it right there on your computer or iPad or stuff like that. But it's a really, really good time. I just wanted to say, I didn't know if the kids were ready for it because like Ferg said, it is kind of complicated. Like you have to think a lot about it. But if you think about like your kids, like kind of imagination and stories and stuff like that, and they want to kind of play choose your own adventure type stuff, it's a good way to get them out of the iPads and the video games and really kind of have an interactive, fun time with them. So that, and also I just wanted to kind of plug the Black Alumni Network for UAB. We got our Sneaker Ball and our Black Alumni Week coming up on September 27th through our 22nd through the 28th, and the 27th will be the Sneaker Ball. So if you guys haven't bought your tickets for that, go buy your tickets for the Sneaker Ball. I want to see you guys there. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be great at the Fennec on the 27th. See y'all there. That's all I got, man.
So we started the show off talking about the school shooting in Georgia. Since 1999, Columbine, since 1999, over 383,000 students have been affected by school shootings. Not necessarily been shot, but they were at school the day that the shooting occurred. You add all of the school shootings we've had in the last 25 years, over 383,000. So that statistic, like Ferg mentioned it, Razi mentioned it, like it's crazy that we're the only country that's really dealing with that on a damn near weekly basis. Ferg, I'm a little upset with you. Apparently, you already knew about Ali Siddiq, and I just discovered him last week. And that brother is hilarious. That brother is hilarious, man. The Domino Effect just finished like all 4 of those.
He is pure comedy.
And he's the only comedian, because Deion Cole did this, where he almost made me cry. I think the name of his stand-up was Mama's Baby or something like that. But one of Ali Siddiq's, when he talks about the death of his sister, and like he has a full, like he goes through it on stage, full cry session.
He's a storyteller.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's real too. So we're contemplating going to see him. He comes here in November, but they're literally a handful. It's like 10 seats left, and we've never been to this auditorium. And only seats available in the balcony. And me and Tabitha are like, will we be able to hear him? Like, how's the sound system there? We don't know. So we would be pissed if we bought tickets and couldn't hear him. So we may not go, man, but we're still thinking about it.
Z got me tickets.
Did she?
Yeah, I love, because I feel like he's a type dude. I feel like we grew up with him.
Yeah,
like he's so down to earth, and he's from Houston. Bruh. So you'll randomly, I've run into him a couple of times in Houston, just cause. Bruh. But
when he said, my dad woke me up and said, I'm about to go out of town. Where we going? I'm going. You going to school.
When his dad had him,
he served dope overnight. Fell asleep in class. His dad. Why am I getting calls about you falling asleep in class? Well,
did you hit the part about when he was when they were trying to give him, he was getting convicted, they were trying to give him life.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Who y'all think you caught?" Tony Montana.
Yeah. That was funny.
He's like, "I don't got that kind of weight."
That first one, the first one, when he tied it all together and just said, I did this, I did that, I sold drugs, I went to jail just so I can get a tracksuit. That shit was dope. So check out Ali Siddiq, his specials on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. And last but not least, man, prayers and get well soon for Angel Reese. Her season is over. She just had a season-ending injury after a very good game against the LA Sparks. So, incredible rookie season for you. I think the Chicago Sky, y'all have a promising future. Obviously need to work on some things because that record ain't all that. But I love the way you play. I always say Angel is like a very young, pretty girl, but she plays ugly. Like she don't mind scrapping for rebounds and just doing whatever. So get well soon on that, man. Other than that, that's all I got. We haven't mentioned Inspire You on air. Please make sure you download that free app. Check us out on Contentville and also check us out on any podcast platform there is. Subscribe and follow Three Brothers No Sense on all social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's almost time to get y'all a hoodie too. ThreeBrothersNoSense.com. Go get you some merch.
Yep.
All right. I want to give a quick shout out. I don't have much. I want to give a quick shout out to homegrown John L. LaFleur graduate Erica Barrett, who, for many of you guys know, she had a restaurant in Mobile called Soku. Really good Southern cooking. Took the town by storm, but she recently was on, I want to say it was a Food Network show. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's food. I can't remember. Yeah. I never remember the Food Network or is it cooking channel, but Food Network BBQ Brawl, and she was this season's winner. And I watched episodes, and she really represented. She did her thing. Even gave them some Alabama barbecue sauce, which I didn't know was a thing growing up in Alabama my whole life. But she represented. So Erica, keep doing your thing. You're making us proud. I love to see people chasing their dream. We haven't said it in a while, maybe since the Olympics. Black girl magic. Keep doing your thing. Proud of you. And come cook for us one day. With that being said, Three Brothers No Sense. 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.